Hi, it's me again. This is part 2 of the video, Dynamic Period Analysis in Power BI. Pick any date and your range. If you have not watched part 1, it won't make any sense. So make sure you watch it first. So continue to where we were. We have the measure that we are creating to calculate the total sales in a certain window. And now what we have to do is just create the return statement. So let's put it here, return. And I want to make sure that if there is no selection, the start date, nothing's going to be done. So I will just put an if statement, not is blank of my start date. And then I will call the function DATESBETWEEN. DATESBETWEEN. And then the first thing we have to add is the date that we're going to filter. So I'm going to use my dim date. Dim date, column date. And then I'm going to call my start date, which will be from date. And then I will add my end date, which is the variable to date. Close, close, close. Oh, it's missing a bracket here. There we go. And we're here, okay. So let's add the card. And let's get the measure. Where is it saved? Here, sales dynamic value. And it's showing nothing because we don't have any slicer with selection. So let's add our first slicer. And remember, I have to pull the dates from this detached table. So the start date. Just change it to, it's just easier to see what we have. And then I have to add another slicer with the parameter. There we go. Now I have to make a selection. Let's make the selection, I don't know, 5th of February. And then if you remember, it is automatically picking the parameter -30 because there is no selection. But let's add here 10. Let's just format to pounds. So, let's just select something else and change the parameter. It is filtering as we are expecting. But now, if you remember, I also had a label telling what was the range used and the percentage of the total. And for that, I'm going to have to create a new measure. So let's add a new measure. Let's call it label. And we also have to define a few variables. Similarly to what we did on the sales dynamic measure, we have to define the variables start date, rolling days, end date, from date, and to date. So I'm going to just copy and paste from the previous measure. And then to have the percentage of the total, we have to get the total sales for that specific window that we are calculating and divide by the overall total. So my next variable will be the sales window that we already calculated. So I'm just going to call here the measure name. And then I'm going to create the overall sales. So let's call another variable, which will be sales total. And for that, we're going to use the calculate, the sum of the sales amount. And we will remove filters from the dim date. So dim date, close, close. So after we create the total sales, now we can create the percentage. So let's create a new variable. Variable, let's just call it % of total. And we'll divide the sales window by the overall, which is the sales total. And after that, we can create our return statement, which will be text string. So I'm just going to copy from the previous example. There we go. So this is the text string I want to add. Day range, and then I'm going to format my from date to, and that's my to date variable. I'm going to format as well. And then I add the percentage of total, which is the format that I need. And then let's just hit enter. And then I go back to my card and I go to call out. And under label, I will select here the conditional formatting. And then format start will be the field value. and I'm going to look for my measure called label. It's okay. And then we have here saying that the date range is from the 7th of February until the 12th of February, which matches what we have here on the slicer and on the parameter. And then of course you can put a title, you can make the card look a little bit better. That's it from me today. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you watch the other videos. It's goodbye from me now, and see you next time.